Oh, hi, my name is Lloyd Tosser, and this is the 31st of August. I'm at the Midwest Skydiving Reunion. We know the history of that type of an exit, what Exodus did with it all the way up to the other teams. Other teams started doing it. The West Coast jumpers were not happy with it. It created a challenge at the Nationals and a challenge at Z Hills because they didn't think that was fair. But I will sit here now and so many years later from the 70s to now and say, well, it's hard to find anybody that will do a single file exit of an airplane. And of course the doors are even bigger now. But that was it, and I'm about ready to wrap this up. I left the sport. I thought the regiment of Exodus, the most fun I ever had was jumping with the Sphincter brothers. Good jumpers, they had fun. With Exodus, even though we were really good, and I was really honored to be able to jump with them, and I mean really, I felt so privileged. It was like military. I mean, if you're going to be a top team, there's commitment and there's sacrifices that you make, and I just felt like I wanted to go out and have some fun again. So I left the sport. I left competition and I started traveling, jumping, and what I found was I got away from the camaraderie of the teams. And I was out there by myself. I made a lot of jumps at different drop zones. I ended up getting out of the sport, falling out of it for business reasons. And then my son always wanted to jump with Dad. He's in the Marines, and at the time he was stationed in Washington. And he said, Dad, I want us to make a jump together. I hadn't made a jump in 32 years. And I tried to talk him out of it because, here we go again. And I knew if I jumped again, it'd be all over. I'd be hooked back in the sport. And but he went ahead and did the new technology, the tunnel, the AFF. And I decided to have him meet me in Eloy a couple years ago at the SCR reunion, and it was also the National Skydiving Museum was there, and so I had a chance to introduce my son to all the past, to the history of the sport, which I think it's really important that we, as some of the pioneers of the sport, and I guess I have to lump myself in there. It's hard to believe that I'm part of the pioneer of the sport. That we bridge that to we bridge that to the young guys, and let me put it right there. We go. All right. We bridge it to the young guys because technology in the sport is totally different. Equipment is totally different. And sometimes, and I know this is part of progress and part of evolution, but some of the things that are really important that got us to where we are now are the things that are forgotten about. And I think it's those things that are forgotten about that are going to be needed for the evolution of the sport to continue, because it's like a baseline, for what the sport's doing. So anyway, long story short, I went out there and I made a jump with my son. It was his 30-second jump, and it was my first 60-second delay in 32 years. And it was just epic. And to top it off, couldn't find anybody to film us, and I'm so glad that I get to say this. I hope that you get to hear it. But couldn't find anybody to film us, to video us, and they finally said, well, just go to the manifest, have them announce, looking for someone to video a father-son jump, fun jump. And so they announced it, and before the announcement could come out, this lady's voice says, I'll do it, and I turned around, and it was Amy Chimalicki. Amy, who could jump with anybody in the world. In fact, she does. And she is the only female jumper on the Red Bull Extreme skydiving team. And she decided that she would do this for us. And so I told my son, man, the pressure's on here, because she is going to be videoing us, and she did. And so I have my son and I's epic moment being filmed by Amy. And this is what I want to say. We're all ambassadors of this sport. We don't have to be an Amy or a Dan Pointer. We are jumpers, and every one of us can be an ambassador. Now, she videotaped this for us for free. She did not charge us a penny, nothing. And I thought to myself, there's a perfect example of what an ambassador of our sport is. I'm getting a little emotional about this, but now here we are. You know, if anyone gets to see this, I hope it's younger jumpers. Because a lot of times, I know how I was when I was in my 20s, they were just a bunch of old farts, but I was a little different. I listened to the old farts, and I had a chance to learn from this. See, for me anyway, the sport, it's about becoming a student of the sport, and that's how you get better. It's not just your abilities, but it's your attitude and it's your behavior that makes you a good jumper. And so for the young jumper,